podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
First there was the original.
I thought it might be nice for kids. Keep them off the street, you know.
Then the basic.
This is a simple game.
Then the first version of the advanced.
Good, clean, wholesome fun.
Now the hammer comes down. Welcome to THACO's Hammer, the podcast for 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons.
Well, welcome back again. It's THACO's Hammer, all 2nd edition all the time. I'm DM Glenn, of course, along with DM Corey here.
How's it going?
And DM Brian.
It's Monday.
Yes, it's the DM Triumvirate for 2nd edition. Sit down, Let me see your character sheet, and if you want some drinks, they're in the fridge. So let's get to what we're going to get to, and
Episode 5.
Episode 5. Let's go to Hits and Crits.
What do you feel like doing tonight? I don't know, Ange. What do you feel like doing?
Oh, we ought to do something. It's Saturday night. I don't want to go bowling like last Saturday. Oh, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know, Ange. What do you feel like doing?
Hits and Crits.
Hits and Crits. What did we do this week? Me, just bought some Splat books. Got some real good, like a deal on Splat books over at Half Price Books. Got the Thief's Handbook, got the Wizard's Handbook, got the Dwarves Handbook, and you know, it was like really cheap, like $7 or $8, which is not really bad.
That's a pretty good deal.
It is. How about you, Corey?
This week I've put down the pencil and the graph paper and picked up the paintbrush and the lead, or pewter now. I've been painting some minis for the game.
Getting the lead out, huh?
Yeah, getting the lead out. Got both groups of 6 need their minis painted, so went ahead and painted up, I think 8 in the last week. Just been unloading on these, so
now
trying to get them all done.
Now, are you painting individual figures, or doing like, say, a squad of orcs or something?
No. I'm doing individual minis. Minis.
Okay.
Yeah. All of them, by the way, are except for one. All of them have been heavily converted by myself. I like taking the Reaper minis and getting a little green stuff. If none of you know what that is, it's the epoxy.
Epoxy putty.
Yes, epoxy putty, and put backpacks on the minis, because if you notice when you get minis, they're all great heroic armored or wizards. They're not adventurers. There's no backpacks on them.
I never thought of that.
So I green stuff backpacks, small length of rope, small pouches on the belt, et cetera, et cetera. So
you actually sculpt the backpacks on?
Of course. I'm not half-assing anything.
Wow.
Obviously not.
Just the fact that you can sculpt the backpack on there impresses me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unbelievable. Wow, that's great. And how about you, Brian? What you been doing?
Well, I haven't been doing too much this week because my job took me out of town until yesterday.
Those bastards.
Yeah, well, hey, I get my free hotel room and free meals for my trip, so it's not all bad.
True.
But I've been, as always, working on my Mystara campaign, aka the campaign setting that's never done. Because every time that I complete one project, there's like 4 or 5 that's like, oh, you need to do this and this as well. So it's just one of those things where I'm just constantly, digging the ditch that never ends, so to speak.
Yep.
By the way, we've gotten some really nice feedback from you folks on Dragon's Foot and other places about Brian's Mystara campaign. They're really happy to hear about somebody doing Mystara and a conversion. They like to hear more of it. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
You should read the emails sometime.
Yes, I will. Yes, I think I'll have to get on that.
Okay.
Nothing like a little positive reinforcement.
That's
There you
true.
go.
And you can tell him more at thacoshammer@gmail.com.
Yes, please do.
Or give us a voicemail at 405-806-0555. Or please go and say some good words on purpleworm.org. We don't plug them enough.
Purpleworm.org.
They are the second edition website message board.
Yes,
They've
and
got some
very good one.
great people on there, great resources. You know, they even have, if you have, like, remember the CDs of the rules?
Oh yeah,
Second
the rules
edition
CD.
stuff? They have the patches for those.
Yes,
Wow.
They
they do.
carry the patches for, so if you have it and you need the patch you never got, you can get them there. That and the expansion.
Yeah,
So-
Northwest is the administrator on that website, and he does write for his members. He makes sure that everything you need's out there, and he's not one of those admins that disappear and don't talk at all in the forums. He's actually pretty active, so
That's
it's good.
right.
It's good for him.
Yeah, it's a great forum. Not that we don't think Dragonfoot is the bee's knees, but that is, if you want second edition action, go for Purple Worm.
Absolutely.
And the second edition forum on Dragon's Foot.
Yes. Last but not least.
Let's not piss anybody off, okay?
No. Yes. Let's try to make it through a week without doing that. That would be good.
Yeah, well, for me, I mark that on my calendar when that happens. Okay.
Shall we get into today's goodies?
It's in the book.
It's in the book.
You ever go to school, stupid?
Yeah, and I come out the same way.
Is that your idea of an idea?
It's in the book.
It's in the book. Ye old proficiencies. Gaining them, do you use them? Brian.
Oh, yes. I've used them ever since, it's going back into the, shall we say, controversial supplements, the Wilderness Survival Guide and the Dungeoneer Survival Guide.
Really?
It actually, to me, when I first started using them, that was 85, 86 maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I always thought that it kind of rounded a character out. It actually gave the character flavor. And from then on, especially going into 2E, I've been a proponent of them. It's not an option for me. It's like I can't run a second edition game without them, and I won't have quite as much fun playing in one without them.
Right.
I'll keep that in mind when I run you.
Into the ground.
Yeah, how about you, Corey?
Proficiencies equate to me to second edition. I won't play D&D second edition without proficiencies. I cannot stress enough that I think without proficiencies, you're either doing a lot of hand waving as the DM, or the game's turning into a hack and slash. I think proficiencies lend very, very, very well to roleplay. Since we do play an RPG, that R stands for roleplay, for those who didn't know.
Very true.
And, a lot of people complain about the proficiencies about, so I don't take fire building. You're saying I can't light a fire? Well, no, but essentially it means that you can't light a fire quickly.
As well.
Or as well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't see the need for proficiencies, but to me, just looking through the list, there's so many roleplay possibilities and chances to use the skills that make your character. I think they add to the flavor of the game as a whole, and I won't play without them.
Okay. My opinion of them has kind of fluctuated over the years. When I was a player in 2E, hell, I love these things, specialize my character, and what would kits be without proficiencies, or minimum, required proficiencies, things like that. But ever since I started getting into the basic D&D, I had like a little bit of a turnaround on that, because I kept seeing as it went from basic to advanced, say first edition, they added all this other stuff, like weapon speed and number of spells per day, whatever. And then they go and they add proficiencies in second edition. I'm thinking every time they add to try and get a little more specific, that takes a little bit more control away from the DM.
Okay, I see. I can see where you're.
Because a lot of the basic was, Okay, I want to climb that cliff. There's no climbing rail. Okay, make a dexterity roll.
Right.
And I'll think of, if there's any minuses and stuff like that, and go ahead and roll. If somebody's got a proficiency in climbing, then they just use that. And basically, I'm saying it takes away from the DM because it's like, if I was in a second edition game, I want to climb that cliff. Say I'm a thief, and I have a climbing. I do have a climbing skill, and the DM says, okay, roll your dexterity. But hey, I put slots in this. Let me use that.
Right.
Okay, fine. And if it starts getting micromanaged like that, it really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because the DM can't just like make a rule. It's harder to make a rule up on the fly. It's harder to make a decision on the fly. But at the same time, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have my books open right here. Proficiencies do default to a stat.
Yes, they
Correct.
do.
Yes.
They're all derived from one stat.
So now I'm moving a little bit the other way because saying, okay, that's not much of a problem because if they don't have it, like you said, they don't do it as well, but it would default to dexterity, say. Okay, I don't have the wall climbing, but I still want to climb a wall. All right, use your dexterity.
Right.
And, in both proficiencies and dexterities, you can still put pluses and minuses on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought it was bad. It's not as bad as I thought. So in the end, I guess I wouldn't mind using them. I'm not in love with them. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
But,
I've house ruled something different in my house rules. It's a bit of an overkill, and a lot of people are going to go, "Are you serious? That's ridiculous." But essentially, with my proficiencies, they get a lot more non-weapon proficiencies than the book states in my games, simply because there's so many other things that I do in the game. For example, okay, so you're a fighter in chainmail. Well, I'm going to take armor smithing.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's fine. You're taking it because you have an extra slot or whatever, and you want to fill up that slot. So fine, you take armor. It's two
And it helps
slots.
define your. It's armor, and so
Right.
it'll define your
But
character better.
like we talked about in one of the previous episodes. Okay, well, this is your 17th day down in the Underdark. Your armor's looking like Swiss cheese, no pun intended, even though it's chainmail. It's time for you to fix your armor. Okay, well, I have my armorer skill. Well, this is going to let them use the skills, the proficiencies that essentially they pick because it defines their character, but they never really foresee using.
True.
I put situations in my game that helps promote the use of the proficiencies.
Okay, that's good.
And essentially, people take blind fighting. That comes into play because it's a combat eccentric. It's oriented in combat. But
wizard throws up magical darkness. What are you going to do? Use blind fighting.
Exactly.
Right.
But who takes mountaineering if you're on in a module that you're in a boat?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I try to situate the adventure towards the characters and their proficiencies, and in my opinion, I think it helped define your character more than your previous character, who is different than the one you're currently playing. So
Right. Right. Gotcha. Now, going back to your example here about being in the dungeon for 15 days, I got my armor skill. Okay. Now, to me, that would suggest minuses to it, only because you have your armor skill. Do you have the stuff you need to work with?
Correct.
Did you think to bring it along?
Correct.
I mean, I don't see an anvil around here in this cave.
Yep.
Can you use something for an anvil and maybe take a -1 instead of a -2? That kind of thing. So they've got to understand, okay, you can use the proficiency, but it's still not going to completely help you.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah, that's basically you're not in a smithy with the tools necessary, but you're basically having to jury rig your armor until you can get out and get back to civilization.
But you're better at jerry rigging it than, say, the thief over there.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah,
by far. So yeah,
pick locks and haggle, but he can't do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that also contributes to the teamwork dynamic,
Yeah.
which is supposedly, or at least, which supposedly is one of the major goals of the game, is to bring these disparate people together with different backgrounds and different skill sets and have them work together.
It's ragtag
And
bunch of misfits, yeah.
absolutely. Isn't that how every adventuring party starts?
Pretty much.
But
Yeah.
I mean, in the Underark case, I mean, if I was to rule it, I'd be like, okay, you have the armorer skill, you don't have the majority of your tools, and you're going to use this, that, and the other thing to try and repair your armor. Okay, give me a proficiency check with a -3 penalty on it, and we go from there. Excuse me.
Sorry.
But that's one of those things where it's like, okay, you take, this is what you have, fine. Now, if say somebody came now, say another character who doesn't have it, I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, you have basically a 10% chance to do this correctly, and if you botch it, say you're rolling a d20 against your intelligence or whatever, and with the hefty penalties in mind, if you say if you roll a natural 20, which is of course an automatic failure in the aspect of proficiencies, you're going to basically break your armor.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, okay, let's see, instead of like a -1 AC penalty, now you've got -4. So basically, even though you're wearing chainmail, now it's the effect. It's basically like padded armor, because there's holes in it now.
How would you educate, say, a fighter with armor skill rolling a 20 trying to fix his armor versus a fighter or ranger or somebody without that skill trying to fix their armor and they roll a 20? Would there be any difference?
I think the penalty, if he had the armor proficiency, would be less. So I probably say, okay, instead of it being a -1 penalty to your armor because it's in such bad disrepair, and you try and fix it and you mess it up, now it's a +2 penalty.
Yeah.
I'd be a lot more
Forgiving.
a lot more forgiving to someone who has the proficiency.
You've got to acknowledge the expertise and experience in it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sometime. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm learning a lot about this.
I mean, as I've had a couple of arguments on Dragon's Foot about this, where some person will come into, there's like been a thread about, proficiencies, and someone comes in with the ignorant stance of saying, well, because I don't have this, I can't do this. And I'd be like, no, all it means is that you can't do it well.
Yep.
Like with the fire building proficiency, anybody can build a fire. I mean, that's basically like adventuring 101. You learn how to do that. But if you have the proficiency in it, that means you can basically get a fire going when it's raining outside and it's like below freezing and there's like a 30-mile-an-hour wind coming in.
Yeah.
That's basically what it means to me.
Exactly. I think that was the whole purpose of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how about you guys out there? How do you use proficiencies? And give us a call, 405-806-0555.
Or write us.
Yeah, THACOsHammer@gmail.com.
We love the emails here at THACO's Hammer.
We do, even if we can't read them.
We value your opinion.
We do. And let's move on to Rule 0.
One would think you've been doing this all your life.
We'll remember you said that.
I know. I'm sure you hate me just enough.
Rule 0.
Rule 0. Okay. I'm going to start something of a semi-regular series, which means we're not going to follow it one week after another. We may do so. Like the next week, we're going to talk about birthright.
Maybe.
But I want to talk. Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps.
Hello, Crispy. Are you there? Conventions. I want to do something of an informal series on conventions and how to deal with them. A lot of conventions. In fact, it's getting to be convention season, if I'm not mistaken.
It is gearing up.
Yes, it is. We've already had a few. We've had DungeonCon out in California. You're going to have MepaCon pretty soon. I'm going to the North Texas one. We got Gen Con, of course, and Origins coming up. And, we want to find out how you deal with it, and this is how we deal with it. So this is the first part, is how to plan for games as a DM and a player. Okay, let's take it first as like a DM. Okay, say you signed up to run a game.
Okay.
Okay. And they give you a decent slot and all that. What's the first thing you do?
Well, are you asking us?
I am asking you guys, yes.
Well, then, I'll let Brian field it first. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
you
the
and
first
him fight.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing I would do, of course, planning out the proper adventure, and making basically, one of the biggest rules I've ever seen about, everyone who's ever run a game at a con has always said use pre-gens.
Right.
That cuts down on the time, that cuts down on the, I hate to say this, but it kind of has to be said. It cuts down on the possibility of, some dishonest players trying to sneak things in.
Hey, you mean the Munchkins? Munchkins?
It happens.
Yes.
It happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely happens. I mean, I've never run a game at a convention. I've been, how can I put this? I would say like a pseudo NPC for a friend of mine who was running a Marvel superheroes game at a con. Yeah, it was a con in Jacksonville in '93, I think. But yeah, I was like playing a character that I normally play in her game, but I was sort of there, sort of as the Gandalf kind of player, or the Gandalf kind of character, sort of like just, kind of, yes, in and out and kind of supporting, kind of supporting people. Yeah, exactly. So, that's one thing to do. I mean, and then once you figure out what you're going to do, I mean, this is even before, you even get in your car or, get on the plane to go to the con. You figure out what adventure you're going to run, and you make sure you know that adventure up, down, forwards, backwards, and sideways. Preparation is the key. At least that's what I've seen in my experience.
Okay, that's a good thing. Is there any specific things you take with? I mean, besides the rule books, of course, and the pre-gens. Of course. Is there any specific things you do? Tips like what do you take that you do? How you? Well, let's just say, okay, you said you have hardly been to it. You never ran a game at a con. How about for your group?
For my group,
you can apply that to conventions too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have copies of pretty much everything. The character sheets, graph paper. I mean, just all the basics to have them all there. Exactly. Plenty of pencils. Dice, whatever you're going to use, and just to make sure that if something goes missing, or if you've forgotten something, you have extras there so that the game doesn't come to a halt. Because, I mean, you guys have a little bit more experience with this. I mean, how much time is usually slotted? Like 2 hours, maybe 3.
Between three and 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually see 4-hour slots. Usually they start at 8 a.m. They'll go from 8 to noon, then noon to 4, then 4 to 8, and then 8 to midnight.
Or some midnight to 4, and onward. They'll schedule them like that. They will.
Yeah. That was one of my other experiences at that con in Jacksonville, that they basically had 24-hour round the clock gaming. I actually got into like a mass combat game, but I was so tired. It was like 2:00 in the morning. I was so tired I basically fell asleep at the table.
Yeah, I haven't done that before.
Yeah, in our experiences, who hasn't really?
I played Champions games where going, okay, escargot, glad it's your face. Glad. Oh, yeah, what?
Get a good smack on the back of the head to wake you up.
Pretty much. Yeah, but that's me anyway. How about you, Corey? What's first that you do?
Planning. If you're gonna plan, if you're going to a con and you're going to game and you need you, it sounds dumb, and I'm not. My last name is not Griswold, so I don't don't look at it that bad. But I do plan. I sit down, everything I need, paper, books, adventure, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
You pull out the character sheets. You make sure that you have the pre-gens with you. Also, what I do is I bring along extra character sheets.
Of course.
You never know when you misplace something and it's Friday night and you're up in the hotel room and you're like, where are the characters?
You're looking for Kinkos. Yes.
Exactly. So essentially, bring extra character sheets just in case on the fly. Maybe you set all your papers out on the table at the con, ready for your players to sit down. Child walks by and decides to throw their icy on top of your gaming table. Well, now all your character sheets are ruined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always a reason you want to plan for.
Right.
I've seen it
Talk
done.
about a party foul. Holy crap.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's a TPK right there.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
Yeah.
I bring extra dice. I bring extra pencils, always with the minis and the maps, and set all your stuff aside. And then what I also do, actually before any of this, is the adventure that I will run, I will play test it with my group. Okay. A lot of people may not have this ability because they might not have a group, and the whole reason they're going to the cons is because they're trying to get their gaming fix on, right, Glenn?
You're reading my mind.
I sit down and I play test the adventure, and I essentially tell my players, give me your worst. I want to see what you can do to try to break this. And we will play test it as if I could pick the dregs of the gaming society and throw them at one table.
Who do you think pays for the admission to the con?
Well, yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
not gonna.
That was a nice one, but
all right, but I won't. That's as far as I'm gonna go. Go ahead.
But and I try to get the worst that I possibly could get at my table through my players, so that way I can see if this needs change, this needs fix. Okay, we need to make sure this doesn't happen, etc., etc. Okay. Then once I see how the worst of the worst would sit at the table and play it, then I test it for time limit. How much did we get done in 4 hours? Do I feel that it's, where do I need to cut down? Do we need to have this encounter with the centaur who's taking a crap in the woods, or can I bypass this to get more gaming in, Gotcha. So, yeah, you got to make sure that you pre-play the game. So once you get there, you don't look like you're ill-prepared and you're shuffling through papers, and people who paid money to come play in a game aren't rolling their eyes while they're sitting at the table waiting for you to find your DM screen or whatever.
Okay, question. How much do you play test it? As much as possible beforehand, or how many sessions?
Well,
what's a good,
Usually, most gaming conventions that I've been to, essentially, and I'm only speaking because I've been to Mepicon so often, and I've been to a couple other cons. Most of them will give DMs or game masters free admission if you play a game.
Yeah, that's
for 3 or 4 slots. So essentially, you have to look at so we'll say 3 slots for this convention, and I get in for free. So I'm going to have to set up and schedule 3 slots. Well, if the slots are 4 hours at a piece, that's 12 hours of gaming total.
That's right.
Are you going to run 3 separate groups, or are you going to make one group come Friday, and they're going to let that single group play 3 slots of 4 hours apiece?
That's a very good
If that's
question.
what you're going to do. If you're going to say, okay, you 5 guys that sat down at the table Friday night and registered for my game, you guys are it. I'm not getting anybody else in the group. Unless when you guys leave early or your daughter gets sick and you got to take her out of the hotel or whatever.
Yeah.
But
actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That group has to play for 12 hours. So what you need to do at home with your group is play that module up to the 12 hours.
Yeah.
And even beyond, because, your players might be slow, goofing off. They're used to you, so they're more comfortable. You get to the gaming table, and these guys are going to be nervous. They don't know how you play. They'll be friendly, but they're going to want to sit down and play. So they're going to hammer through actual 12 hours of gaming.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you get enough play testing done so that you cover what the other players at the con possibly might get into.
Okay. That's why I've seen there's a lot of cons I've seen in the con books with the games that are available. A lot of people would do such and such part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Right.
And divide them up. And basically it would take that would be a good reason to take like a regular scenario you'd run with your group if you guys would run 12 hours anyway, and a lot of them do.
Right.
And just play test it with them as a regular session, and then okay, this will end here, this will end here, this will end here.
Right.
And that way, and you got it. To me, I would structure it a way where the guys in part 1 don't have to come back and play part 2 for whatever reason.
Right.
Or they can't. I mean, there's a lot of cons where they go, well, I just registered for the one game.
Right.
So you got to take that contingency into effect, into account.
Yeah, I would think that if I was going to run like 3-4 hour sessions, I think that I'd have to make the adventure so big that people can drop in and drop out, depending on what the circumstances of the players.
Right.
I would and just to make it that big, I mean, I'd probably run. I was thinking about why guys were talking about it. I'd probably run something like Ruins of Adventure, which is basically the adaptation of the old gold box game Pool of Radiance. Because there is no way on God's green earth that even in say 3-4 hour sessions that one party is going to get all the way through it. There's just no way. And that way, they can go so far, and if we run out of time, then they can get back to civilization, and everybody's happy.
I would do it the 3 parts, but I would run it like I'm running a game for my group, where you have say part 1 you got the 5 people, part 2 you only got like 2 of the people from the first part can't make it, and you got some new players in there, so you would arrange it like you do any other group. Oh well, my character died, okay, I've got a new character, and work them in as fast as possible,
of course,
and arrange the game so between the sessions you can do that.
I will say this, for my first DMing job, for my first gaming DMing at a con, and a lot of future DMers who might not have ever done this but are interested in DMing at a con, what I've done is the best and easiest way to flip characters in and out, like Glenn was just talking about, do a city campaign, do a city adventure in the city. My first DMing thing, what I did was essentially the PCs were essentially members of CSI, and essentially we're running around in the city finding out why nobles were being murdered, but they were members of an adventuring company that were hired by this company, and essentially we're told, you 5, you got to go over here to this street and find out what's going on over here. Right. So 2 people drop off the table from the first session, and I get 2 new people. All that means is their characters are off doing something else in the city, and this is an adventuring company.
And HQ set you to.
Correct. It speeds up okay, why am I here, and what did I miss? That's one thing that helps. If you do an area that's populated for your adventure, obviously, okay, you're in a dungeon and you're 4 hours in, and you go to your next session, and 2 people aren't there, but 2 new people are joining in. How the hell did they get in the dungeon? It's a little difficult.
You know what the best thing to do there, if you still want to do a dungeon crawl, but you want a city thing? Put them in the sewers.
Sewers, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Sewer adventure, it's like you got the best of the dungeon stuff, but you're still got the city above you.
Right.
True.
If you're hurt, you have to go it's very easy to go get healed. And things like that. Sewer adventures, I think, would work great at conventions.
Yep.
Yeah.
But cities the way I ran my first one, and I had no problem with flopping people out, because I essentially went from the first session, I had all 4 people. I had 5 people at the table, and I was 6. There was 5 players, and out of those 5, 3 dropped, and I got 3 new ones at the second one.
Yow.
I had no problem whatsoever. integrating them in. I was like, okay, so you all are on your shift and you're in town and blah blah blah, and you're told to go over here and meet the other two people. Well, they did the whole, what do we got here, Chief? Well, we got this and this and this. Okay, cool, let's move on, and that was it. 3 minutes of catching them up, and we were back in the game.
That's great. That great.
Works.
And you touched on Brian touched on something. You've got to write the game in a way where it doesn't matter if they finish it.
Correct.
Absolutely.
If you got if you got 4 hours and they're only like 2/3 of the way through, you can find if you can find a stopping point, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not in a tournament situation, that works best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've actually never seen a tournament game run, but my whole thing is that it's from at least from my experiences with say the old 1E modules, which were adapted from tournament rules, and some of them even have the tournament rules included.
Right.
It was just a completely different animal in some ways.
It is. That's why I've always said that. I mean, like the B series has for the basic has a couple of tournament modules in there. It says, why did they just make a separate line of tournament modules? Because they can be so different from the regular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To me it kind of throws groups off a bit, I think.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say it was always about, it wasn't even about completing as much completing the adventure as it was how many points that you got through doing certain things through the course of the adventure.
How much experience, they'd tally that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, here's a question. Playtesting. I hate to harp on this, but what if you can't playtest? Like I said, you don't have a group.
That's tough. Yeah, I could probably speak to this because right now I don't have a group, but with adventures, you just have to kind of draw on, your own experiences, but in doing so, you still have to keep it open-minded enough, because players have this wonderful little tendency to come at an issue or a problem at a completely different angle that you never expected, and then all of a sudden you're kind of caught off balance, and it's like, but I think that you just have, basically you just have to say, okay, you have to think of as many ways to quote the phrase skin a cat as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that
I prefer the wood chipper method. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were actually talking about skinning a cat. I'm
sorry. Corey.
You put your players through a wood chipper?
No, the cat to skin it.
Well, yeah, but that's what Tomb of Horrors is, isn't it? A wood chipper.
Oh, yeah, actually that is.
A character wood chipper?
Oh, I thought that was putting them in a wood chipper, then dropping it into a vat of acid. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
Tomb of Horrors, where the best thing that can happen to a character is they put on that girdle of femininity.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've that's happened. But anyway, my whole thing is that you just have to look at it like just completely analytically. It's like, okay, here's this issue, here's this problem, here's this challenge. How many ways can this problem or challenge be solved?
Right.
And if you just come up with as many solutions as possible and just hope for the best in some ways, because like I said, they're just, players have these wonderful little ways of confounding DMs,
especially if you're playing like a sandbox.
Yes.
I hate that.
Yeah. You know what? That's a topic we should really go into depth about in a future show.
Sandbox?
What's that?
Yes, just the sandbox, just sandbox campaigns in general.
Sure.
Sure. Yes, let's discuss that.
Those are some of the
please.
Best, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
In my way, it's the only way to go.
I pretty much confer with the you guys on as far as preparation goes, but I only ask about the playtesting because, like you, I don't have a group, and I wouldn't have worried about it. But the other night, I came up with a great idea for a game I ought to run at the convention, but I guess I could write it up, and then I'll just keep reading it or something. I don't know.
Hey, you know what we should do?
Oh,
well, how long
Skype
till
it?
we could do an adventure over Skype and record it and put it up for everybody to listen.
Why the hell
That's
not?
A great idea. That is a great idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe your
I'm down.
RFI's got its own, live.
Why can't we?
Yeah.
Why not?
All
Why
right.
not?
I will put that on the to-do list. Okay. Okay. Let's switch this around. I know I want to close this topic out pretty soon, but let's switch this around real quick. Player, what do you do to prepare? I specifically, I wanted to touch on just one, since we don't have much time. I just want to touch on one specific thing about that. You have your own characters in your own games. Do you take them to a con? Corey, do you?
No.
Oh,
I'm gonna say no. Because
I'm sorry.
I
Go ahead.
can't. I'm trying to rack my brain and think if I've ever been to a con and sat down at a table or even walked by a table where the guy goes, "Yeah, sure, bring your own characters in." I can't. I can't think of it because you know what? I don't think there's a single freaking player out there that doesn't get attached at least somewhat to his character of say X years. And to take it to a con and have the DM who you've met for all of about 4 hours go, so you failed that save, your character's dead. Can you go ahead and shred that character sheet? I think even the smallest, quietest of mouse of D&D player is going to tell him to go eat something, and it's behind me.
Somebody tell me to tear up my character sheet. I'm just like, you're nuts. This is going back in the folder.
No, I don't bring it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what do you do? Do you make up characters specifically to take to conventions?
No, I've never done that. I mean, actually, I take that back. There's only one time that I've ever used a character in a con game that I've used in a regular game, and I've already gone through that. Usually 99.999% of the time, the DMs have characters. They'll give you like something to pick from like 7 characters. The con game I played in Jacksonville, which didn't end quite satisfactorily for me, but that's okay. That's another story for another time. Basically, he had, oh goodness, now I gotta remember. He had a fighter, a monk, a cleric, a magic user, an elven fighter mage. I mean, he had like 8 or 9 characters to pick from, and I was like, my whole thing was, I was like, I like the way he's done this. It's this way everybody can kind of basically pick, if not exactly what they want, it's close to it. And and that game went for about, I'd say probably about 3.5 hours before the DM's power trip got to be a little too much, and then everybody was unhappy. But like I said, another story for another time.
True. Okay, so you would not take any characters with you, or maybe make characters when you get there? I'm talking about right now. I'm assuming that most official games in cons, they will have pre-gens there.
Yeah, most of them will.
I'm assuming that. What about open gaming?
Open gaming?
Yeah. Would you make up a character just to play in open gaming, or because most of them are saying like, oh yeah, we're gonna run a second edition game over here. So do you have any pre-gens? No, sit down. We'll make some.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, I just happen to have this character right here. I don't see anything wrong with like making a character or two before you leave, just to keep in reserve.
Yeah, I will always bring extra blank character sheets or a pad of paper and pencil, whatever. But essentially what I like to do is if the con has a website and the website is informative enough, it'll tell you what games are there, because if it's a big enough convention, you're going to have to register for the seats for the games.
Oh, yeah.
So this table number 12 might be doing a second edition game, and they have 4 seats left. You can see that it's going to start at second edition, and sometimes we'll even say character created at the table or whatever. What I'd do is I would bring player's handbook, dice, what you usually bring to play, make a couple characters up ahead of time up in the hotel room watching TV Friday night. Come Saturday morning, you come down to play, and you can be like, here, I made these 4 upstairs to speed things along. What do you think? Give the DM a choice. Yeah, fix that. Delete that off of there. Give yourself 1 healing potion. You're good to go. That way you're not sitting there for an hour and a half wasting when you guys could be gaming.
Also, plus
if you got 4 characters and he gives you the fighter and goes, he goes, yeah, all 4 of them are cool. Pick which one you want. You can give him the other 3 and go, hand these to other people. That way they don't have to take an hour and a half to make a character.
Yeah, that takes the onus. Yeah, it takes the onus off.
Because when I look at it, when I look at a convention website or a convention like booklet or something like that, and when I see characters made at the table, I'm going, well, we ain't going to be doing much playing.
Yeah.
Spend 2 hours making the character, 2 hours playing. Oh boy.
Yeah, but that's
the other cool thing I noticed that I saw one DM do, and a lot of you out there, if you're listening and you're running D&D games, especially 2nd edition, and you know what level your adventure is going to be, what he did was the DM had 3x5 cards with basic equipment, magic items, small little healing potions or, a ring of warmth,
like little adventurers packs.
Right. And essentially he went, roll up a wizard, and you do your stats, you do your spells, and you're like, okay, and now what? And he'd hand you the adventure 3x5 card and go, here, put that on your character sheet. You can write that while we're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the meat down of your character. That's all he needs from you to play the game.
Yeah, his stats, spells, saving throws. THACO.
You're carrying 3 torches and a 50-foot of hemp rope and a grappling. He doesn't care. You write, he can make that ahead of time and just throw it at you and go, here, add that to your character sheet later. That sped up. I think character creation took all of about 10 minutes at the table. That was a really nice game.
Yeah, because when you think about it, when you're creating characters, that's where the majority of the time is wasted is kitting them out. Yeah, is getting their equipment done. So yeah, if you have like a little list, and first time I ever saw that, I was like, oh my god, that's genius.
And you know what?
What's that?
Certain splat books like the Arms and Equipment Guide.
Absolutely.
And my favorite, my guilty pleasure, the book I will not part no matter how much gold you throw at me, Aurora's Whole Realms Catalog. They have adventurers kits in there.
Here at THACO's Hammer, we love us some Auroras.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes.
We're gonna have to do
without a doubt.
I'm gonna do a review of that just because I geek out every time I think. I gotta go dig out my book. I really gotta go dig out my book. Anyway, you tell it. We're gonna come back to conventions periodically and talk more about them because there's so many things we can talk about conventions, but we got to get to the next segment. So tell us about your how you prep for a convention as a player, as a DM, 405-806-0555 or THACOsHammer@gmail.com or the Dragon's Foot 2nd Edition forum or purpleworm.org. We'll be there. We want to hear from you.
We're all over the place.
You bet, like manure. So, let's go into option package.
My personality undergoes a startling change.
You should meet me because I'm a great guy.
I like big fat men like you. When they fall, they make more noise. And sometimes they never get up.
Option package.
Option package. What do we got? The Complete Wizard's Handbook. Corey.
The Complete Wizard's Handbook.
Absolutely.
One of the fuller and more informative complete books that they put out here. For you nerds keeping track, it's number 2115 in TSR's library. It's full. I do like this because it adds more spells. Obviously, it's a wizard's handbook than just your average player's handbook. And a lot of the spells in here you can find in the Complete Wizard's spell compendium. But this came out, I think, a year or two before
they started that series.
The compendium. So a lot of the spells back here let your wizard become a little more effective, first and second level. This handbook helps you not only create a good wizard rather than the usual, I'm in red robes, I cast fireball, okay, I'm done for the day. It allows you to flesh it out. And a lot of the kits in here, I'm going to say half are actually usable to an effective degree. Some of them I'm not too happy with, but
that's a better percentage than most splat books.
Well, yeah. A lot of them have 20% you can use, and 1 or 2 of them you just shouldn't allow at the table because they're overpowered in some people's minds. Mm-hmm. But this one's pretty good. I mean, it has the Academician. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Academician. Amazon Sorceress.
Mm-hmm.
The Anagacock. The Militant Wizard. The Mystic. The Patrician.
Peasant Wizard.
Yep. The Savage Wizard. The Witch. And the Wu Gen.
Yes.
Throwing a little Oriental Adventures flavor into my complete books. I always like that.
I kind of like the Peasant Wizard myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's two major chapters in this book that I really, really, really use, even if I don't use the book all the time.
What's that?
It's chapter 2,
Mm-hmm.
Creating New Schools.
Yeah.
There's a section in there for adapting existing spells or ideas for new spells.
Mm-hmm.
This helps you with a guideline or ideas on how to create new spells or take a spell that's already out there and tweak it a little bit for, say, your 15th level wizard who now gets to make his own spells. Well, how do you go about doing it? This book will help you doing that. Or as a DM, I want this lich who's been alive for 5,000 years to be able to cast spells at the wizard in the party's like, hold on, what the hell was that he just cast at me? I've never seen that spell before, The other chapter in here that I like is chapter 9, the wizardly lists.
Yes.
The first section in it is the 25 helpful familiars and the 5 unusual sources for spells. Those two sections, I love that chapter in this chapter in the book. It's the 400 fantastic materials is great. There's just a lot of useful information in this book.
Oh yeah, and they've got some new magic items in here too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna go the splat book route, this is probably one of the core splat books.
Yeah.
This and the fighters, and the dwarves, of course. But this is like one of the core. This came out like what was the second one? This was like the second one out.
Yeah, it's 1990.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they were just starting to hit the basics, and they really did a good job on this. Let's see this was. Let's see who. Don't they give any? Design Rick Swan, editing Ann Brown. So I guess it was mostly Rick Swan and friends.
And friends.
Yeah, they didn't.
And the rest.
I thought they might have a lead writer on here, but they don't. But they got some really good artwork in here too. I love.
Oh yeah.
I still love that first one where the guy's casting the Big B fist spell, smashing through that door. That's great.
Yeah.
That is just so cool. I love it. What about you? What about you, Brian?
This book I thought was, I thought it was a wonderful continuation. I mean, the Fighters book was like, it was really useful. It actually, gave some really good optional rules that I've, long since adapted into my own campaign. And the Wizards book was a continuation of that. I mean, not only, do you have, like Corey said, chapters on making new spells, and just coming up and just wonderful role-playing opportunities with the kits, because as as you all know, these kits are just to enhance the role-playing experience.
Oh yes,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, but
power trip.
Oh no, not at all. Oh. No. But it also has different rules on has I just lost my train of thought. I hate that. But it has like rules on advancing beyond the suggested retirement level of 20, and has better rules about researching spells and coming up with your own spells and actually being able to adjudicate a proper level to that spell.
Right.
Because God only knows I used to come up with all kinds of spells, but I would make them in too low a level, and then all of a sudden I wonder why my game broke.
What I liked about it is, as far as the spells go, it really gave the Necromancer a leg up. Because there were not very many of them in that Necromancer could use in the core book.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you like the Corpse Visage the other week we talked about. That's in there. And, you know, um,
Yeah, there's some good spells.
there's some really good necromantic spells. Word of death? Word of death, right.
You're dead.
You're dead. Yeah.
Die.
You know, and what we're going to talk about today: chromatic orb, bone club. You know, halo of eyes. All this other stuff that necromancers and some illusionists can use too. Mummy rot. There you go.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Casting mummy rot on somebody. You want a slow death? Here, hit him with that. You know. Dead man's eyes, all this stuff, you know, all this stuff they never put in the other books. So if you're using a necromancer, or you're playing a necromancer, you really should get this book. And of course, a complete book of necromancers, if you can find it. But if you can't find that, use the Wizard's Handbook. I really like it. It's going to be it is one of my core books for second edition. And find it, get the PDF. Well, yeah, try and get the PDF. But I mean,
only after you legally own the copy. We here at THACO's Hammer do not condone or support any pirating of any published material from TSR or Wizards of the Coast.
And for one, hail our new overlords. That's what it always sounds like. I, for one, hail our new overlords. But no, yeah, splat books are ridiculously easy to get, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you know, use game stores, use bookstores. I mean, if you go there, you'll find at least 3 or 4 splat books there. And Wizard's Handbook is very common. And like I said, the one I'm holding right now, I got a half-price books. I paid $8 for it. And the original,
they're not hard to find.
The original MSRP was $15, so that's a deal.
Absolutely.
Another bonus thing that I found in the book here before we end this chapter or the segment, the chapter 4, the role playing. I always look at that. That's one of the first things I look at when I open up one of these splat books. The different ways. Everybody knows the whole old, you know, Gandalf type wizard, and you know, it's fun to actually sit and be able to make a new type of wizard. And you know, I'm going to role play this guy as the obsessive.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that is more than half the fun right there. That, you know, that was something that I think is really, really overlooked when it comes to these books, is that someone actually sat down and said, okay, here's the class. How many ways can we play this class?
Correct.
You know, and come up with personalities specific to this class.
Instead of just, okay, it's a wizard, let's move on, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Not everybody's going to grow up to be Gandalf, I'm sorry.
Right. That's true.
But, you know, it came out with really good personalities, and I've used a couple of them.
And a lot of them don't want to be Gandalf. So it's like being president. Who the hell wants to be president? If some people do, well, but anyway, let us know what you think about it. Let us know your experience with it, and you can get a hold of us in the usual places.
Yep.
Let us move on to Magic Fingers.
Eeny, meeny, chili beanie, the spirits are about to speak.
Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me.
Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Magic Fingers.
Okay, Magic Fingers. We got a couple of wizard spells this week instead of a wizard and a priest, since we're doing the wizard book. And the first one up is Chromatic Orb, which is in the Wizard's Handbook.
Yes, Chromatic Orb, Brian's favorite spell.
That's one of those goodies.
Yes.
Well, tell us about it.
Okay. Well, like I said, when it's in the Wizard's Handbook, and it was like one of these little hidden gems that I found, and I started using in a campaign. It's one of the few spells. Yes.
Let me make this clear. This is a first level spell, believe it or not.
Yes.
Listen to this. Go ahead.
Oh, I love it. But it's one of the few spells that actually scales up with the wizard's ability. It basically when you cast it, creates a 4-inch diameter sphere, and basically it comes out in a different color as it depends on your characters, as your wizard character's level. And each color does a different ability against whoever gets hit by this. Basically, you have to throw it at a target, it has a range of 30 yards. And that's the hard part. That's the one thing that people forget about this spell. It's not automatic like Magic Missile. You actually have to wind up and throw it at somebody.
It's a baseball or a softball, actually, of 4 inches. Yeah.
And they will, and the DM will deduct points if you yell Pikachu. I choose you.
It might just boomerang and come back on it, colored black. But anyway, you get a bonus to your attack roll. The closer the target is, going from +3 at 10 yards to only a +1 at up to 30 yards. Mm-hmm. If you miss, it just basically dissipates, but if it hits, then the target takes a certain amount of damage and has to make a saving throw versus the effect of the spell or the sphere. And the colors are white, red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, blue, violet, and black. And as your character goes up in level, you not only can cast the most effective color, but you can also choose one of the previous colors. Like, say, if you're a 5th level wizard, you can use the green one, but you can also use the previous 4. So it also becomes more useful because now you have options as to, okay, let's see, we're up against frost giants, or I could use this spell to generate heat or fire, or blindness, or whatever needs to be done. And as I said, it scales up in power as your mage goes up in level. It maxes out at 9th, which is the black sphere, which if you hit your target and it fails its saving throw, it dies.
Wow.
Actually, it maxes out at 12th.
At 12th?
Yeah.
Really?
According to the chart here in the book.
Really? The chart I have only goes up to 9th.
Oh, yeah.
Are you looking at the Wizard's Handbook?
Yes, I am.
Page
there's
96.
There's 9 effects, but I mean, it shows the level of caster. The 9th section of black is you have to be 12th level to use.
It skips. It skips. It says 6th, 7th, and it says 10th, 12th.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if this is a typo.
I don't think so. I think they may have changed the spells because it just continues up from 1st level to 9th in the one I'm looking at. Yeah. You know what? While you guys, I'm gonna hand this off and I'm going to look at my actual physical copy of my Wizard's Handbook.
Okay.
So if you could give me a moment.
I'm noticing here that if the chromatic orb misses the target, it dissipates without effect. If the target creature makes a successful saving throw, the chromatic orb is also ineffective. So you still have the ability to save from this.
Now, I have a question here. I'm looking at the material component for the spell, which is a gem of the appropriate hue or any diamond. The gem must have a value of at least 50 gold pieces. So say I'm a 4th level wizard, and I want to throw the red sphere heat. So I have to have a ruby.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a red gem. Yeah.
So you cannot throw any color up to your level. You have to have the appropriate gem too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now it says
that's another restriction.
Here's the thing. Here's the question I have. It says I can understand that the appropriate gem hue or any diamond. So does a diamond trump all of them?
Yes.
Since it's white, so you can throw any color if you have a diamond?
Right.
Yes.
It's the 1st level one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, since it is no color, I understand that.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You guys are right. In the Wizard's Handbook I have here, 10th, the violet sphere and the black sphere are 10th and 12th levels of the casters, respectively. Mm-hmm. And I've had this Wizard's Handbook since it came out. So
your PDF that you were reading from is
incorrect.
Well, I'm wondering if this is
either that or if it's a reprint.
I was going to say, is that a correction they did?
It might be. I mean, I was looking at the copy, the reprint date, which was dated 1994, so they may have changed it.
Well, we all know that TSR never, ever, ever made any typos. Come on.
Yeah.
There's no picture of
Yeah.
a six-fingered druid in the druid's handbook. They never make mistakes.
No.
Now,
not
I'm also looking at the chart here. It says 10th and 12th, well, 8th and 9th, I guess. Violet and black color. Hit points of damage, slow, special, petrification. Black is paralysis, special, death. Now, slow and paralysis, is that if they make their save?
No. As a matter of fact, let me look at that.
If the target creature makes a successful saving throw, the chromatic orb is also ineffective. So that's if they fail their save.
That's what I mean. If they fail their save, because if they fail their save, it would be petrification or death.
Oh, well, I think that it would probably mean. You know what? I think the target in these cases would make 2 saves, because I'm looking at the description saying when it's the paralysis one, which is the blue sphere, they would have to make a saving throw versus paralyzation, or they get paralyzed for 2d8 plus 4 rounds, and if they make that save, it's only halved. So, in the case of the more powerful ones, it's a saving throw to avoid the effect of it, and if that saving throw is made, then the sphere is negated. But if they fail the first one, then they have to make a second one. Against the
special power?
Yes, against the special power, yes.
So if they fail the first one, they take the damage. If they make the second one, that's all they take is the damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. It was a little confusing there. I just didn't know how that worked.
Yeah. It's kind of worded a little bit, to where it's okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the description. It says, let's see. If the creature makes a successful saving throw, the chromatic orb is also ineffective. Otherwise, the color of the orb determines the amount of damage inflicted and special power. So, if they make their first saving throw, they don't take anything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but if they fail their saving throw,
first save, then they take.
They take the points of damage and the special power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
so it's all or nothing.
Which I think is kind of redundant, because if you're rolling the violet ball, and you blow both your saving throws, or let's say you throw the black ball, you blow both your saving throws, you take paralysis and death. I mean, if you die, you die. Who cares if you're paralyzed?
Well, no. If you fail the second one, you get paralyzed. That's the difference. If because the paralysis would only take effect if you actually make your saving throw. It's like the rock in the hard place, so to speak.
Okay. Just one more time.
Now I'm confused.
Okay. 2 saving throws.
No, there's no 2 saving throws.
There's no 2.
Yes, there are. I'm looking. Let me go back through it.
Say I'm a 12th level wizard or 9th level or whatever, and I'm throwing the black ball. The black orb.
Okay.
At you. You roll a save the first time. You make it. The orb goes away. Okay?
Correct.
I throw another one at you. You make a save. You fail. Okay, boom.
Then
make a second save.
Correct.
I make it. So you're just paralyzed.
Correct. Paralyzed for 2 to 5 rounds. That's what it says.
Okay. Because it's just...
Wait, your black says you're paralyzed for 2 to 5 rounds?
If you make the second save.
Okay, mine says something different. I must have a first printing.
Oh, this is weird. This is weird.
Yeah, mine says first printing, October 1996 in the front, right above the TSR logo.
And how long have you been using this, Brian?
Oh, since basically it came out, which was like 1990.
And you've never had this trouble with...
Under the level 12 chromatic orb effect of black, mine says slow for points of damage, and then special power says death. Up above it says, under death, the entry says ebony black in parentheses. Then it says, the creature dies unless a successful saving throw versus death magic is made.
Yeah,
if they succeed, it slows the creature as a 3rd level spell for 2 to 8 2d4 rounds. So this one's telling me, if you make it, you're slowed. If you fail it, you're dead. There's only one saving throw.
Okay, I know how to fix this issue, because this was one that I didn't know existed.
Neither did. Well, that's the way I just looked at it. That's the way I kind of read it. So.
Right now. I'm looking at apparently the definitive and final word on these spells, which is the Wizard Spell Compendium.
Right.
So, give me 2 seconds, and
Wait a minute.
I will pull
That's
that.
what I'm in.
That's what you're in. So they
I'm
must
in
have
the Wizard
changed
Spell.
it.
What are you reading yours from?
That was from the Wizard's Handbook.
Oh, I'm reading mine from the Wizard Spell Compendium.
Oh well, okay.
They
That's where
probably
we're getting
fixed
confused.
it. They probably fixed it when they put in the spell compendium.
Oh, you're in the brown splat book still.
Yes, I was.
Oh, I'm in the purple handbook. Sorry.
Yes.
There's brown splat books?
Yeah, that's what color the splat books are. The complete books. They're brown.
No, they're red.
They're brown.
They're red.
That's brown. That's brown, Glenn. I'm sorry.
They're red, and the DM ones are blue.
I just shot myself in the finger, and my finger is blood red. That is a brown book.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay, we're getting a little off subject here.
Okay. Yes, I can see from what I'm looking at here, they've completely changed it around.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was reading, and I'm like, there's no 2 saving throws. You throw the orb. You throw the orb at a level 12 black orb. The opponent or creature rolls a save. If he fails to save, he's dead. If he makes his save, he's slowed.
Actually, he's paralyzed. Yeah.
No.
Actually, they changed it in the complete Wizard's Hand. I mean, the Wizard Spell Compendium.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they switched paralysis and slow.
Oh, I got to get a set of those.
Oh my God! I can't believe I sounded like a rules lawyer. Sorry, everybody.
It's better to rules lawyer here than at the table.
Absolutely.
Well, at the table.
If you're going to rules lawyer, you do it off the game.
It's true.
Yeah. Besides, we're helping people understand this. So,
this is true.
Let's move on to the next one before I get any more. Oh, well, actually, how have you used Chromatic Orb, Brian?
Oh, I've used that to take out the best one I think was when I used it as a 6th level mage to basically just completely hamstring a fire giant. I used the green one, which is the stinking cloud, and he failed his save, so he's basically
choking
on his knees throwing up, and the party basically just took him out without any problems. But yeah, I mean, that's the best thing to use is against really, really strong opponents, and just hope they break their saving throw.
Yeah, fire giant. Wow, you ever use it, Corey?
I've never used it, but as a DM, I'm starting to see the uses for it. And in my campaign's very high magic. So I'm imagining a wizard dual wielding wands of chromatic orbs.
Oh God!
Wow.
His first name will be Roman.
Last name would be Candle.
Yeah, yes. Roman Candle.
Wow. Why didn't I ever think of that? Oh my goodness!
When I first saw Chromatic Orb in there, when I saw the name, the first thing I thought was that basic D&D monster that's just nothing more than a black ball that goes through everything.
Oh yes.
Gotta love that.
I saw it in Holmes. I saw it in Metzer. I saw the Rule Cyclopedia. I'm going, what the is this thing?
You mean the Sphere of Annihilation?
Yes. I mean, it was a monster. It's like gods may control it.
The black ball.
Yeah, the black ball.
Yeah, it's like nobody can touch it. Nobody. I mean, it'll go right through a person, and kill them. And it's like, and they say even gods can only control it some. Nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows where it's going.
I like to paint it pink, and I like to call it. I call it DM's eraser.
That's funny.
It just rolls through the world. My character's 18th level. I own 5,700 magic items. I'm the owner of this world. Yeah, there's a big pink ball through the throne room.
Yep. Yeah, you see this pink ball just come through the wall.
And they said the way to get rid of it is like either a wish or a gate spell to send it some other dimension.
Yeah, send it somewhere else.
Yeah.
It actually can sense heartbeats and life force, so it goes towards the closest life force. So if you want to be safe, all you have to do is get farther away from whatever it.
Yeah.
You got to put something between you and it.
Yeah, I put the troll between me and the ball.
Yep.
That way I don't have to outrun the ball. I just have to outrun the troll.
Here, big boy, just face me and we'll go at it. Come on, here it goes.
Yep. See ya.
Bye. Let's go on to the other spell. Invisible Mail.
Yes.
Now, why would I want invisible mail? I get email already, and I can't read.
Oh, nice one. Nice one.
It's invisible.
Oh, that's horrible.
Okay. We'll go back. What level is this?
That spell, I believe, is 4th. I need to bring it up really quick because I'm still tripping on chromatic orb right now.
Visible mail is a 4th level spell or 3rd level spell, actually.
Okay.
3rd level.
How is this better, other than maybe it's a lower level than like Stone Skin?
Well, for the mage that.
Do you want to read off the spell description
sure.
for those listening?
Go for it.
I can do that.
Okay.
A variation of the armor spell. The spell enables the caster to cover his body with an invisible suit of plate mail to temporarily raise his AC to 3. I'd say lower, but that's just semantics.
Yeah.
Its effect are not cumulative with other armor or magical protection. Character cannot improve his AC better than 3 through the use of this spell, but dexterity bonuses still apply. Now, here's the killer. For each level of the caster, the invisible mail absorbs 1 hit point of damage that would normally hit armor class 3. However, the invisible mail offers no protection against magical weapons or attacks. When the invisible mail has absorbed as many hit points of damage as the wizard has levels of experience, the invisible mail disappears. I mean, it's basically just an increase on the armor spell, but since the armor spell only gives you an AC of 6, I think, this is like just one step better than that.
Right.
And, that's a really good protection spell for a wizard who is, wants to just have a little bit better personal protection, but doesn't have, the rings or the cloaks of protection yet.
And all that kind of stuff.
And the best of it all is it doesn't hamper with movements and it doesn't add to encumbrance.
No, it doesn't. and it lasts as long as you have points of damage for the spell to absorb. So basically you could wear that, indefinitely until, the wizard gets hit by something that, takes out the number of damage that is equal to his level.
And at 5th level, wizards can cast 1 3rd level spell. At 5th level, you have a wizard with an AC of 3, and then his dex modifier. So you're looking at a wizard at 5th level being like AC 0 if he's got a good enough dex. That's crazy.
That's nice.
Yeah, potentially an armor class of -1. Yeah.
That's nice.
It's a really good spell.
I'm looking up something here. Hang on.
So essentially, a level 12 wizard with this spell could absorb 12 points of damage before the spell is gone.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's a lot for a wizard.
Yes.
Well, not only that, but if you think about it, if you have a party of adventurers and the wizard's in the back as usual, and somebody sneaks around to attack the wizard, and he gets 1 hit.
That's it.
By going by turns, the wizard would be next, or, would go before that creature that hit it would go again. Step back, recast it, keep yourself alive enough to till one of the fighters or somebody else in the party can get back there to save the wizard's butt.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Or, give him enough time to pull out his 2 wands of chromatic orbs and boom, boom.
Okay. He's got his wand of wonder.
Oh no! Oh God! That we need to talk about that in another show. The wand of wonder.
Yes.
But yes, this is one of the better personal protection spells a wizard can have. I think there's another one, but that doesn't happen until the wizard gets up to I think 13th level, where he can cast 6th level spells. Because I think that spell is 6th level, but we can discuss that in another show as well.
Yeah. What schools is that spell?
That school is Evocation and Abjuration.
Okay.
So if you have an invoker, he can use it, which would actually make pretty good sense. And if, of course, abjuring being more protection-based spells, of course they would have this.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that. Now,
you know what I find, what I want to add to this, because I think it's funny. Look at the spell components for this spell.
Yeah, a small fragment of plate mail.
I can just imagine the wizard following the paladin around. Dude, I got a chunk out of my armor. Did anybody see it fall? The wizard's standing up, pocketing something. I didn't see anything.
Just basically looking off at an angle, just whistling innocently. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can see this as a kind of a. I'm looking up Stone Skin here, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, this is Visible Male's like Stone Skin's little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives you an AC, but Stone Skin protects you from any damage for 1d4 per level.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Attacks.
Mm-hmm. I changed that around because, unfortunately, and this has always been a big topic of debate on Dragon's Foot and other places, is that the Stone Skin spell is still really, really overpowered in what constitutes an attack and what constitutes an attack that inflicts damage. Okay, confession time.
Yeah.
Once again, I made a confession last week. I guess it's going to be something.
We're adding a new section of this show. Brian's confessions.
Forgive me, Father Gygax, for I've sinned. But anyway, but I took the idea actually from 3rd edition, where they changed the spell of the Stone Skin spell to where it wasn't number of attacks, but it was the amount of damage you can take.
Right.
So it's sort of like this spell.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was ablative like this one.
Yes, exactly.
Good work, Glenn.
Yeah, exactly. Very well done, Glenn. Nicely done. Well played.
Thank you.
And it that way it made that spell just as strong, just as powerful, but it also it took all the gray area out of it.
Right.
You take damage, okay, it goes against that spell, and it's done. Next round, next attack, whatever else comes up.
Right.
So yes.
But I could see,
Yes.
but 2nd edition Stone Spell, you still have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely. I can see a wizard taking Invisible Male, working his way. He's waiting for his Stone Skin spell, but I'll use this for now.
Exactly. No self-respecting wizard should be without the spell, to be honest.
I understand that. That. Well, there's our wizard spells. You guys want to comment on it? Comment on the usual places. THACOsHammer@SaberDie.com. THACOsHammer@gmail.com. Wow. Thank you. Oh, man. A little plug for our sister show there.
Nice. Let us know what you think.
405-806-0555. Let us move on to...
Let's go hunting.
Let's go snipe hunting.
If you only had a living brain.
What do you think? Escaped gorilla?
Listen, you're making enough noise to wake up the dead. I don't have to wake him up. He's up.
It's time for a snipe hunt.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting snipes. What do we got? Oh, should be interesting. The Death Knight.
Oh, wow. One of the most powerful and as difficult to defeat as any other monster in the book, in any of the monsters manuals or compendiums. Yep. The Death Knight, it was originally, it wasn't that in the Fiend Folio in 1st edition?
I'll tell you in a moment. I just happen to have my Fiend Folio here.
I think, my memory may be failing me, but I think it was.
Okay.
But they were made...
Bookshelf.
They were made popular in Dragonlance with Lord Soth as the character.
Lord Soth.
Yes. One of my
Death Knight. Yes, they were in 1st edition Fiend Folio.
Wow, my memory works. How about that?
It may be. Yeah. Okay.
But this is one of those monsters that you'd better be on your P's and Q's if you're going to defeat it. You better know what they do, how they do it, and you better be prepared to take some hurt, because you're going to take some, no matter what happens.
Yeah, those D&D players who may not DM, most hit dice for creatures are done with an 8-sided die for hit points and whatever. Right. This happens to be a 9-hit dice creature, but it has the hit dice of a fighter.
10-sided
dice.
dice.
Yeah. This is something that you should be fighting around just one of these, you should be fighting around level 10 or 11, my opinion.
I agree.
Actually, I'm thinking more of the from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, the ring race.
I'm thinking like the ring race when they're fighting at Weathertop. Is it those guys look like Death Knights?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
but you're fighting
because
against like 5 of them.
Yeah.
This is a Death Knight. This is an undead that has a chilling voice, and essentially it can speak in the language, any language it spoke in its former life, as well up to 6 additional languages. So not only is this thing going to kick your butt, it's going to tell you about it while it's doing it.
So this is the quintessential anti-paladin.
I would go as far as saying, if a non-player anti-paladin, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chaotic evil. Its intelligence is genius, 17 to 18, and it has 1 attack with a +3 bonus.
That's one thing I'd change about it.
Have you two ever had a chance to use such a creature in your games?
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
I actually used it as the BBEG in one of my campaigns that went through a couple weeks, and the players started around level 5, and they worked their way up and saving villages, and this is a very useful big bad evil guy. It's resourceful. It is set for combat, and it still even has special abilities that it can use per day, like a vampire or a lich. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once per day, it can either use power word blind, power word kill, power word stun. It generates fear in a 5-foot radius, and it can cast detect magic, detect invisibility, and wall of ice at will. It can cast symbol of fear, symbol of pain once per day, and a 20 dice fireball once per day.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Now,
yes.
A word on this. As a DM, not only do the players have to be on their game, the DM does too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would get the complete book of villains and look through it first about playing villains intelligently. This is not like throwing up against a bugbear or a hobgoblin or something.
Right.
This is if you look, genius level intelligence?
Genius.
Yes.
Yep.
You got to really think about what he's doing. He's going to plan. He's going to have backups. He's going to, like you said, a BBEG. He's the main. He'd be the main page, and if he isn't, he'd be like the dragon of the actual big bad.
Right. He'd be his right hand man.
He'd be his Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the Emperor.
Yeah. To the Emperor. So.
Yes.
And these guys are not dumb, at all.
No.
You do not play them that way.
Not only that, but it says here, Death Knight has a strength of 1800, and it attacks with its sword. 80% of the time, it's a magical sword. Mm-hmm. And there's a list of 6 choices you can give your old D6 on the table. This is crazy. +2 longsword, +3 two-handed sword, +4 two-handed sword, short sword of quickness, short sword of dancing, short sword of life stealing. So this thing's going into battle with magical items to begin with. So
what? No Vorpal sword?
Your analogy to Darth Vader, number 7 is lightsaber. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the wand of force.
And he keeps a thermal detonator in his backpack.
No, that's his 20 hit die fireball.
Oh, that's right. That's
For
right.
those of you following at home and listening, this is a Death Knight of Kryn, and this was originally created for the as for 2nd edition here, it's listed as it's a corrupted Knight of Solamnia. Mm-hmm. And that's the Dragonlance world for those of you who don't know.
But there's nothing wrong with you creating your own Death Knights for your world.
Correct.
I mean, I had a Death Knights in my world, but they were kind of different, not as powerful. And I told you about the other big. But you got your own world. Say, okay, these guys are from that place.
Right.
Oh, I just go along that and just say this is what happens when a powerful paladin finally falls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking at least like a 9th level paladin, and he finally gives into evil.
He finally goes to the dark side.
Yes, this is what happens to him.
Yeah.
And I mean, not only do they have all those powers, but they also have magic resistance, very high magic resistance, 75%. And if you cast a spell at it and his check against that is 11 or lower, it gets reflected back at the caster.
Wow.
So it's almost like he has a ring of spell turning on top of that. And he also has Power over Undead like a 6th level priest. So he will have undead backup.
Well, you know what?
You know,
this one monster right here, it should almost say in the book, you are required to make a backstory for this guy. This is not some just Joe fighter you throw at the guys for a random encounter. No, you gotta, this is, like you said, your big bad guy. This has got to be the guy they're gonna have to like stand there and fight, and you gotta figure out where he came from and all this other stuff, even if they never said anything, just for the role playing purposes.
Right?
Absolutely. And it should say you have to role play this guy.
Yeah,
I mean, and if you go ahead.
No, I was going to say you could just see from its creation and the way that he's made, like he'd fit so well, in a campaign that you want to have a bigger base for bad guys that aren't just orc number 4012, please leave the green room and go on stage.
This is not I'm sorry, go ahead.
You want to have life to your villains.
Yes.
This is one that you could actually give life to. And it even says at the bottom, as you were talking about, they're sometimes accompanied by skeleton warriors, liches, and other undead who serve as their aides.
Oh, this is not a munchkin monster.
No.
At all.
This, if anything, it was made to kill munchkins.
Yeah.
If anything, because the thing that made Lord Soth cool when I was reading through the Dragonlance books is that he would just walk in and go up against an adversary and just point at him and say, "Die." And more often than not, that's what his target did. I mean, when you think about it, Lord Soth was never defeated. He was put somewhere else. He wasn't destroyed. He was put into Ravenloft, which was like a whole other story.
To me, if I was playing a Ravenloft campaign and he started pulling out Death Knights, that's when I would stop playing Ravenloft. I mean, it's bad enough with the Death Knight, but being in Ravenloft, no.
Yeah.
On top of that, that's just like, I mean, well,
that's overkill.
To your point, Glenn. From what I remember of reading that book, and I'm probably gonna have to go and reread it. But basically, as soon as Soth got into Ravenloft, Strahd was figuring out ways to destroy him because he was afraid of him.
He was competition.
Yeah, a major league competition. I mean, him and his skeleton warriors. Now, that's another monster we should get into because those things are just as crazy in their own way. But considering that Death Knights would be in charge of those and liches on top of it. Now, as we all know, liches start at 18th level of ability as magic users.
Oh yeah.
And to think Death Knights are in charge of these guys, it's just like, this would be like if I had a campaign and I started it from 1st level and going all the way to say like, let's say 12th or 13th. This would probably be the campaign ender, going up, finally figuring out, who's in charge of all this, what's going on, all this strife, and going up against him.
To use a cartoon metaphor, this is Skeletor done right.
Yes. Yes.
Basically.
Yes, absolutely.
I will have to say though that every time I see the Death Knight in the Monsters Manual and I'm playing D&D and I'm flipping through looking for the monster, the thing that this always reminds me of is Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I was just going to say Ash going up against Death Knight with all the skeletons and the zombies and stuff he's
making.
Reminds me
with his +5 chainsaw,
and the metal hand.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the evil Ash once he gets all of his Death Knights or his skeletons dug up and he's on his horseback. It's Sally fall,
Let's loose the dogs of war. Yeah.
Yes. Bruce Campbell, God bless that man.
Yeah.
But yes,
the chin of power. And that's a death knight. We want to hear about this, folks.
Yeah, if you guys used them, let us know. If you guys fought against them, tell us.
Knights, God love them. We love to hear about it. THACOshammer@gmail.com and our number, whatever it is.
It is 405-806-0555. Give us a call and we'll play it on the air.
Like they could forget it now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I think that wraps up another show.
That's it for the day.
Surely does. Okay.
5 is, as they say, is in the can.
Yeah, we'll be back here next week. Here's your character sheet. Don't forget your dice. You want to take a drink with you? That's fine, too. And for DM Corey, say bye.
Good night, everybody.
DM Brian.
Farewell.
Farewell. And me, DM Glenn. I'll say I'll see you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
THACO's Hammer theme is provided by the Diablo Swing Orchestra. You'll find them on Jamendo.com. All other additional music for this episode was provided by Kevin MacLeod. You'll find him on Incompetech.com. Be sure to visit our website at THACOshammer.info. If you have any questions or comments, email us at THACOshammer@gmail.com. Remember, that's an O, not a 0. Also, you'll find us on the 2nd Edition forum at dragonsfoot.org, or you can give us a call, leave a message at 405-806-0555. See you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer.